The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
People, we back doing this at the Don't Doze Art Lab, and that's giving you an episode of Locked On Canucks, where we give you your team every day, every minute, and boom, bam, wouldn't you look at that, Kyle Bowen doing some reading articles, and the next thing you know, on a Lukas Reichel article written by Patrik Johnston of The Province, great journalist, just put out a book on Gina Ojek, go check it out. Anywho, at the end of this article, again, that was titled something about Lukas Reichel, right? The Canucks is Lukas Reichel look appears to be over, okay? That's the title, but if you go to the bottom, he drops a bombshell. He does. For real. And it's about Conor Garland and his connection about how the Canucks could potentially fix their problems at center. And look at the start of this paragraph, okay? I thought it was an opinion. But Patrik Johnston, again, alluding to the lack of a second-line center and who they'd give up to get that person, he says, what if they were to trade Conor Garland, for instance, okay? The veteran winger is playing well, as he always does, and did sign a 6-year contract extension this past summer. The Canucks love what he brings to the lineup every night, but if the task is to find younger players to add to the mix, dealing a guy like Conor Garland may be unavoidable. Again, I thought this was an opinion. And then he hits you with this, okay? A pair of league sources suggested that the Canucks may already be considering such a move. So there is some smoke to this, okay? Just a little bit. Conor Garland may be the piece the Canucks move out to get the assets to fix their situation down the middle. Now, this tells me a couple things. Filipino is probably gone for a long time. I was holding on to hope that he would be practicing this week just because, I don't know, karma. I was donating some change to the people this week. I was trying to get that good voodoo for Canucks fans across the globe and for Filipino. I'm like, you know what? They've been talking about him nicely. Maybe he'll hit the ice soon. And then I read something like this, and I'm like, yeah, they're willing to trade arguably their second best forward. And, you know, on this hockey team, that's not saying much, but I feel like there's a crop of NHL teams that could still consider Conor Garland being their second best forward. Again, the Canucks are considering that guy. Conor Garland, a guy that is tenacious, tries his ass off, is a play driver. He has smooth hands. His hockey intelligence is off the charts. He doesn't lose board battles. He makes great plays offensively. Just a damn good overall player. Not a fluke. Not a guy that's capitalizing off playing or on playing on a bad team and getting more minutes. And that's why, you know, some of his fancy stats, some of his gameplay, some of his box score stats look inflated. No, this guy could do that on any ice rink in the world. Like, he is just a good hockey player. That guy is on the block for the Vancouver Canucks. If they want to, you know, get younger, quote unquote, down the middle. Okay. That kind of came out of nowhere, but again, it's the obvious. The Canucks are a bad hockey team. It's operation, you know, let's not rebuild. It's operation, let's make popcorn money in April. It's operation, oh, can we maybe keep Quinn Hughes? Like, again, everything is on the table when, historically speaking, this core, including, you know, the likes of Conor Garland, for years and years and years and years has been unsuccessful. So again, anything is on the table. That being said, just a little bit surprised. Because isn't this a risky move? And not because Conor Garland is untouchable, but I have a feeling that Conor Garland is a hard player to scout using analytics and data based on the fact that he's so much more than that, right? Like, there's a level of heart on top of his skill and then on top of him being a good metrics player that you got to witness in the rink or on TV daily to really understand what type of guy you're getting. Like, what I'm trying to say is Conor Garland across the league is better than you think. And trust me, that's a true statement. People in the East just found out about Quinn Hughes 14 months ago. You think they're staying up at 10 p.m. at night to watch the 24th ranked Vancouver Canucks team over the last decade? They're not. They're not. They're only seeing the Quinn Hughes box score or the Quinn Hughes highlight tape, but they're not seeing the full package. Again, Quinn Hughes way better than his box score. Again, they just realized this very, very soon. I think that could be said about Conor Garland too. He's so much more than meets the eye. And is anyone staying late to create the Conor Garland hype train? And one that is well-deserved. And I know Vancouver has this tendency to overvalue his players. Yo, my name's Kyle Bound, and I approve of this message. I've watched a ton of hockey. A ton of hockey. And now I've watched a ton of Conor Garland over the last, 4 years as a Vancouver Canuck, 5 years. And I even watched some of them in Arizona, too. I've told the stories many of times on this podcast. The guy's a damn good hockey player. I'd give him 87 overall, 86 overall, but I feel like across the league, you may get like 84 overall value, which begs the question, right? Like, what type of number 2 center are you getting that's younger than Conor Garland? You know what I'm saying? I feel like this could be another version of trading a 4th round pick for Lukas Reichel, but again, on the other end of the spectrum. That's just me. I'm scared. I feel as if you'd much rather go down the route of trading Conor Garland before his no trade kicks in. But, at the end of the day, when his new contract does kick in with that no trade clause, at $6 million, I feel as if he won't be a hard player to trade and be convinced that there might be better times elsewhere. Because, again, the Vancouver Canucks lose a lot of games. Right? All in all, though, this year, no, he doesn't have that protection. But at the same time, if I'm moving off of Conor Garland, I'd rather have the draft picks or an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old that a team drafted last year. You know what I'm saying? For real. Like who's that young player that they're getting for Conor Garland? Is it a player that's two tiers above Lukas Reichel and like a 2nd round pick? Like, that's not good enough. I'd rather take the draft picks. So again, this could be a scary trade. It's always wait and see, for real. But I got a bad feeling about this one, especially if it's for, again, a player who could play now. Right? One trade I was thinking about was like maybe is it Pavel Zacha for Conor Garland? Garland has the Boston ties too, right? Zacha has a couple years left on that deal. Could that be something that could happen, right? Because Conor Garland's a better player. I know it would make Boston weaker down the middle, and you put a premium on centers. But again, I said this early on today's episode. I put a premium on better players. I don't care about the positions. I don't care what hand they're using to hold their hockey stick. Right? I don't care about the color of their hair. I don't. I put value in premium players. And Conor Garland, like, again, he's not the elite of the elite, but he's a damn good player. He's better than Pavel Zacha. And who pushes the needle more? Pavel Zacha down the middle, or having a guy like Conor Garland who could play on your top line, who could play on your second line, who could help, this team get out of ruts, players get out of ruts. Like, look at what Elias Pettersson is doing now. A lot of that has a lot to do with Elias Pettersson, but Conor Garland helped them kind of get there. Right? Because Conor Garland is always going. He's always digging pucks out. He's always making plays. He's standing up for teammates. He's somewhat, and this is what my girl calls me, the complete small package. That was too much information. You know what? Comments. Hookasa saying Vancouver media is exhausting. Well, luckily, this is not media. This is just a fan talking about a bad hockey team, reading articles about, again, a bad hockey team. Y'all can blame the media and the fans for causing a ruckus. The hockey team has been bad for a decade. Imagine if we were smiling right now. We'd look like idiots. For real. Comment. Line Change Van, go check them out. They do good work as well. Talking about the Canucks. One love to the neighbors. They're saying that trading Garland is a no for me. Just sign him to an extension, and you'd be trading another heart and soul guy. I mean, it depends. It depends. If they hit a grand slam with the Garland trade, it is what it is. Again, asset management, draft pool capital, important to think about for a team that is now ranked 28th in the league through 20-something games, and rightfully so. For a team that's probably in the bottom 7 of the league over the last 8 years, when you look at the standings, if they hit the grand slam on a Conor Garland trade, that gives them draft capital and, again, 18 and 19-year-olds that they can develop. You got to consider that. It is what it is, even though he is a heart and soul guy, because at the end of the day, I don't doubt that he's a heart and soul guy or the reason why the team isn't where it quote unquote should be based on ticket prices and messaging. But at the end of the day, with Conor Garland on this team still loses games. So you can't get too attached. Next comment. Dylan saying it would be a pretty gutless thing to do. Guy signs during rough times for multiple years, and they are going to ship him out instead. I hope it's not him that they trade, but I do understand the value. So yeah, they just signed him to a contract. He just started a family, and before that no trade kicks in, they say peace. We got to do what we got to do. That does suck, man. That's life in professional sports, especially again when you play on a team that doesn't win games. So on that note, as tough as it would be for the dude who's by the end of the day probably going to be making $75 to $80 million in his whole career, you could feel bad for that. But a part of me is there's a small chance that, again, look at the way this guy battles along the boards and look at the hits that he takes. Look at how he competes. This guy tries his ass off, shift in and shift out. Look at the gas tank that he has. He can do 2-minute shifts like it's no problem. That's because he puts the reps in. He works. He's made for this. He wants to win. Emphasis on wants to win. I wonder if a part of him doesn't want out of Vancouver, but again, wouldn't be frowning, wouldn't be that mad, because then he'd probably have a better opportunity at winning. So it is what it is. Last comment. NGK saying he did ask for a trade during hard times not that long ago. I kind of do remember that, right? With the whole agent thing. And yeah, it was just a lot of noise. Wasn't it before the 2023-2024 season, if I stand correct? Again, losing sucks. Dan Jardine also saying, if we trade Garland, it's creeping towards rebuild time. And I hope, again, I'd be scared if they traded Garland for a young NHL player that's not proven yet, but based on the fact that he's a center and 22 years old, this is the gamble they got to take. I would be so scared and a little bit pissed off if they tried that. Again, another version of trading a 4th-round pick for Lucas Reichel. Do not do that, okay? Garland is a valuable player, and if you're not getting a first and a third or a first and a second, all those other trades we see in the past involving good players going to playoff teams, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Again, instead of the Canucks and being a team through 55 plus years of not having any playoff success other than 3 times making it past the second round of the playoffs, can that team stop doing things their own way? Can they just start reading the book on how teams win championships and just miss me with your own philosophy? Because through over half a century, your philosophy and your process on success and maintaining success has been laughable and more often than not wrong, especially in the last decade. So just watch what other teams do. And that's, accumulating a ton of draft picks. You know what I'm saying? Oh, but draft picks don't work out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Conor Garland was a 5th-round pick back in the... You know what I'm saying? Anywho, my name's Kyle Bowen. One love to the Dodo's Art Lab for giving you that West Coast bias. I got to get out of here. Quick little episode. Conor Garland, who knows if it actually happens or not. But it is what it is. This team doesn't win, so things like this are going to happen. Peace.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.